Hi, I'm Ray Collins. Alan is back on Monday. We're learning more about the lone suspect behind a sniper attack in Dallas that killed 5 police officers and injured 7 others last night. Detectives say the man is a 25-year-old military veteran named Micah Johnson. Police say Johnson spoke with negotiators before being killed by a police bomb. They said his motivation was to kill white people, in particular white police officers. The Attorney General is urging for calm in the wake of the shootings.
And to all Americans, I ask you, I implore you, do not let this week precipitate a new normal in this country.
Among the victims, 43-year-old transit officer Brent Thompson, who got married 2 weeks ago. Much of downtown Dallas remains blocked off as police continue to search for clues. We have reaction from local chiefs of police here on the SUNCOAST. The police chief in Bradenton, Melanie Bevan, reminded her officers, while we grieve for our fallen officers, don't allow this shameless act to detract from our vigilance. Other agencies relied on social media. In the wake of police shootings in Louisiana and Minnesota, law enforcement says it's essential to rebuild trust.
The trust comes both sides because police officers really depend on the citizens in our community to keep them safe also.
As our communities change, they want service more than policing. And we're training our deputies that, and we're training our law enforcement officers that. We continue to evolve with communities and society.
An incident such as this isn't something that we can recover from that easily. It may be hundreds of miles away, but it feels like it's right here.
Local police are wearing black bands across their badges, an action usually reserved for a death within the state. Talk about good timing. The SUNCOAST Blood Bank had a blood drive set for today, and now they're going to use it to send surplus blood to their counterparts in Dallas. Summer is the slowest time of the year for a blood bank, and this year is even slower because many donors are being screened out due to possible exposure to the Zika virus. The group Citizens for Sunshine is planning to appeal today's ruling in favor of Commissioner Susan Chapman. A Sarasota judge has ruled the group didn't prove that Chapman violated the Sunshine Law when she went to a merchants meeting where another commissioner was present. That other commissioner, Suzanne Atwell, settled her suit with the Sunshine Advocates. Despite the win, at this point, Sarasota taxpayers still owe legal bills worth $340,000.
When they are sued for something in their official duties, which I was only at that meeting in my official duties of listening to the citizens, that they are entitled to representation at the cost of the city and not at their personal cost.
The 2-day trial took place 2 months ago. Report cards are in, and Sarasota is one of just 3 counties statewide to average an A grade. The news is not as good for Manatee County, which received a C grade. Districts are graded based on standardized test scores and something called learning gains shown through those scores. 2 districts statewide received failing grades, but they were outside our area. Well, not everyone wants a new water park in Manatee County. Some residents in Heritage Harbor east of the interstate are opposed. They're concerned about extra traffic in the area, losing the current Tom Bennett Park, and they wonder what happens if the water park doesn't work out.
The main concern is it's a partnership between the county and a developer to give them the park land for free, and then get into some kind of a profit-sharing type agreement with them.
The county has planned 2 public meetings in the coming weeks on this issue. As Sarasota County plans to build a new library in Venice, the city's museum and archives want space inside that new building. The museum is currently in a refurbished 1926 boarding house. The director fears the floor is too weak and might fall in, holding documents.
It's a cultural heritage center that will allow you to not only be able to go to the library, do your research, but then also be able to go back into your past.
The county hasn't said yet if they'll include the museum and archives in the new library. The old library was closed earlier this year due to the presence of mold. A temporary space is being used in the interim. Construction work in Bradenton Beach is taking longer than expected. Manatee County is trying to build 3 pier-like structures in the water to prevent erosion. They're called groins. The work was supposed to be done by now, but instead the county says delays and bad weather mean the cranes will be out there until the fall. And also in the water, amazing video here. Moat Marine is kicking off its 3rd annual Lionfish Derby this weekend. It's very interesting. The Derby is aimed at removing the biggest threat to our marine ecosystem, the lionfish. Divers will compete to spear as many fish as they can this weekend. The fishing takes place tomorrow and the weigh-in is set for Sunday. The divers can win over $3,000 in prizes and also help our ecosystem along the way. Very interesting looking fish. Time for the forecast. And John, they're not very welcome around here apparently.
No, they don't have any natural predators. They are invasive. They're competing with territory with other of our natural species fishes and kind of eat the fish that deal with the algae in our area as well. So, plus they sting if you step on them. So who needs them, right?
Correct.
They are beautiful though.
They are.
Locally, we've had some pretty heavy rainfall around here. I think that rain chance is going to increase as we head into next week. Right now, though, we have a lot of warm weather across the region. We hit 96 for a daytime high today. That spawned a few really big thunderstorms across the region. That's, by the way, 6 degrees above average for this time of year. Currently, we have rebounded from temperatures which dropped down into the upper 70s after the outflow for some big thunderstorms near Lakewood Ranch brought a plume of cooler air down from above and sent it right toward the recording station at the airport. Now we're at 91. We'll probably hover in the upper 80s through the evening hours. Everything is on the decrease across the area. Rain showers, which had been big in Harding and DeSoto counties, now in the process of decreasing in intensity. Ringing areas around Arcadia, those storms are gradually drifting to the south and kind of dying out as they do so. High pressure, which has been centered right over the center part of the state of Florida, will gradually lift north and eventually out into the Atlantic as well. That will switch our winds around to the southeast and bring us much better chances of rainfall as we head into next work week. Foreboding, good over the weekend, looks like. Northwest wind switching to the west in the afternoon at about 10 knots will bring you a light chop with 2-foot seas, and we'll have a couple of tides, an 11:19 low tide, high tide at 5:20. Forecast for the weekend ahead calls for pretty much status quo, but by the time we get to next work week, we're going to almost double those rain chances, Ray.
Back to the summer pattern. All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, John. Still to come, the sudden growth of the Zika virus in Florida. Find out what's being done and how you can avoid it after this.
The all-new MySuncoast.com. Just another way we're here for you.
That's Chuck, proud homeowner, regular do-it-yourselfer. Today he's attempting an electrical repair. This is Pablo. He's an electrician with Mr. Sparky. How's he doing, Pablo?
Terrible, Mike.
Yeah. What Chuck doesn't realize is that almost 68,000 home fires are caused every year by electrical problems.
What?
If he doesn't have the proper tools and training, he's liable to start the next one.
Little help here.
That's what I'm talking about.
Call 888-8-SPARKY.
You might want to write that number down.
This is a special health alert for seniors suffering with joint pain. If you have Medicare insurance, you may qualify for high-quality support braces at little or no cost.
I'm thrilled with my knee braces.
Now, there is a simple and proven solution for seniors to get out of pain with state-of-the-art support braces.
I barely feel any pain at all.
Braces for your knees and back, as well as your shoulders and ankles, too.
I'm so happy with the quality of these braces.
Call now, and you could qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost.
I can play ball again, and it doesn't hurt.
And because of my Medicare coverage, it costs me next to nothing.
So call now.
And because I have this red, white, and blue Medicare card, my braces have cost me just about nothing.
It's true. You may get a knee, back, shoulder, and ankle brace at little or no cost.
They qualified me for 2 knee braces and a back brace.
If you have knee or back pain, give them a call. They can help.
1-800-476-8967. 1-800-476-8967.
Well, the Zika virus has arrived. There are over 1,000 cases nationwide, and a fifth of those in Florida. More on this now from our Alex Redmond. Alex.
Thank you, Ray. As the numbers of Floridians with the Zika virus rise, there are many unanswered questions. Perhaps the most concerning are of how to stop transmission and prevent the symptoms, including the risk of bearing a child suffering microcephaly. The first travel-related case of the Zika virus has arrived on the SUNCOAST. The declaration of public health emergency now includes Charlotte County.
It's only a matter of time until one of those mosquitoes bites a person in the United States, in the continental United States, and transmits the Zika virus.
Dr. Kyle Garner of Gulf Coast Obstetrics and Gynecology says there's still so much that we don't know about the Zika virus and the transmission and how it affects pregnant women.
But one of the concerns is the potential partner transmission. If their partners travel to these endemic areas and are potentially exposed, there is a potential risk that the partner can then expose it to the woman.
The Florida Department of Health confirms the first Zika-related case of microcephaly in a child born in Florida whose mother had a travel-related case of Zika.
A mother who had exposure to Zika while in Haiti, and so upon arrival here gave birth to a child with microcephaly.
Infectious disease Dr. Vilma Vega says that it's not a question of if the Zika virus is going to affect us here in Sarasota and Manatee County, but of when.
The concern is obviously that somebody could get exposed to Zika somewhere else and then bring it into this country, and the possibility of a mosquito biting her in this area, certainly, then that mosquito can then transmit it to somebody else.
Dr. Vega was the only infectious disease doctor participating in a bipartisan congressional delegation meeting in June on the Zika virus outbreak in Florida.
We've got over $26 million that Governor Scott has allocated specifically to Florida for the prevention and as well as the surveillance of people with Zika.
In a written statement, SUNCOAST Congressman Vern Buchanan, who co-chaired the Florida delegation meeting on Zika virus, says his #1 concern is for the health and safety of pregnant women and children. Congress needs to pass a bill immediately that funds Zika research and prevention programs. The House of Representatives has voted to provide this funding. Now it's the Senate's turn.
The hopes are that within the next 2 years that we will have a vaccine. Unfortunately, it's not something that can be done very quickly.
The Florida Department of Health's website reports daily Zika updates. July 6th count, the highest to date for one day, at 11 new cases. Dr. Garner says prevention education information is paramount in reducing the risk of transmission.
Yes, if we start seeing a large number of patients acquiring Zika virus in the United States, we will eventually see a case of acquired microcephaly here in Florida.
Well, in a year from now, we're probably going to be dealing with some of these complications. You know, we've talked about economic burden on this country. Why have we asked for so much money to try and find preventative vaccine and as well as surveillance of these pregnant women?
Dr. Vega explains the cause for concern is not just medical, but also economic.
Because the cost of taking care of one of these neonates, these newborns, with an active disease, whether it be Guillain-Barré or whether it be some other neurological issue, such as microcephaly, this is millions, if not billions of dollars in care of even one child.
The numbers of newly reported Zika cases in Florida change daily, and the Department of Health is not disclosing counties where pregnant women who test positive for Zika live. They say for privacy reasons. And the best protection that we have is to be vigilant about getting rid of standing water, wearing protective clothing, and using insecticide-containing DEET. Ray.
Nice. Okay. Thank you, Alex. Nice job. Up next, we'll talk to the experts. Stay with us.
Whether you're a homeowner looking for a professional installation or a contractor looking for top quality products, Sarasota Glass and Mirror can meet your every need.
For 42 years, Sarasota Glass and Mirror has been the area's premier supplier and installer of quality glass products for your home or business. As an authorized PGT WindGuard dealer, we know how to protect your home with everything from the PGT WindGuard impact-resistant windows and doors to shower enclosures and decorative mirrors. The Sarasota Glass and Mirror team has the knowledge to tackle any project.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on the pedal. You get a clean mop pad that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
They took that stress and that tension when I was particularly feeling very bad after that nasty car accident, and it was such a relief to know that I didn't have to bear that burden alone, that I had help.
Our goal is to not just get a satisfactory settlement on their case. We want them up on their feet, happy again. They've gotten their life back.
For more now on tonight's Zika topic is Mark Latham, director of the Manatee County Mosquito Control District, Matt Smith, his counterpart in Sarasota County, and Dr. Kyle Garner. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Well, thanks for having me.
Where did this thing come from? It's one of those things that as a layman, you hear about it months ago for the first time and think, well, this will probably go away in a few days. It hasn't, and it's gotten bigger.
Well, I mean, it's we're seeing this more and more with the travel that people are doing around the world. These viruses occur in remote locations. People are visiting, it's being transported elsewhere where there are active vectors, and with the speed of travel that we have, it's getting around the world.
Now, doctor, I'm going to jump to you for a second here. Are your patients, you're an OB/GYN, are your patients concerned about this at all?
Absolutely. They want to know whether or not the virus is here in Sarasota. They want to know how to prevent it. They want to know about the potential effects of their unborn child and what to do to prevent it and make sure that they have a healthy pregnancy.
What do you tell them? What can you tell them?
Well, the most important thing is to look at their travel risks, where they're going to be in endemic areas and whether they're going to get exposed, and then just prevention issues, how to prevent being bitten by the mosquito and how to reduce their risk for transmission.
Matt, what is Sarasota County doing so far about Zika?
Well, we have protocols in place to deal with either introduced or locally acquired cases of Zika or dengue or chikungunya, which are closely related diseases that exploit the same mosquito species for transmission. But one of the biggest things we're doing is public outreach, because these mosquitoes, we're really only concerned with two species that are closely related. They breed in containers and little cryptic breeding sites in your backyard. They don't fly very far, and they're relatively easy to control if people would actually take the time to search their backyards and dump out containers and make sure there's no standing water. So what we're trying to do most aggressively, instead of going out and spraying chemicals everywhere or anything like that, we're trying to get people to pay a little more attention to their own environment so that they can decrease the populations quickly and easily all over the county by themselves.
Same thing in Manatee County, Mark?
Same thing in Manatee County. I've been doing this for 36 years, and you know, it is the main method of trying to control this mosquito because it is a backyard mosquito. But unfortunately, we always find that it falls on deaf ears. I mean, you know, it sounds like a simple solution. Get everyone to police their own yard, empty containers, but we don't know how to get the message across more strongly than we are.
They're not taking it seriously yet?
They're not taking it seriously. And one thing I would say about that is, you know, people are saying, well, there isn't any Zika here yet. We don't know. It's a virus which 4 out of 5 people are asymptomatic. So I would always advise people, treat it as if it is here. Take precautions as if it is here and do what you need to do.
Yeah, Matt, we did have a case in Charlotte County. Do you know much about that?
No, other than there was a travel-associated case, but we've had quite a few of those, few hundred of those around the state.
And when you say travel-related, it means somebody went overseas and came back here with it?
Correct. The disease was contracted by a mosquito bite in another country. They came back here, became symptomatic, were tested, and were tested positive. And that's when mosquito control agencies like Sarasota or Manatee County, what we'll typically do is when we get word of a travel-associated case, we like to go in the area and set specialized traps that trap specifically for the species of mosquito that transmits it, because we want to understand a threat level, like what is the population of that mosquito looking like, and if it's high enough, do we need to initiate control measures? Do we need to get boots on the ground to start knocking on doors and asking people to dump containers?
When we say overseas, are the biggest threats Central and South America, Doctor?
Yeah, primarily Brazil is the area where the largest outbreak is currently. We see outbreaks also in Puerto Rico, which is more regionally close, so people travel to that area as well. Haiti is where the lady here who had the first case in Florida with microcephaly. So those are the places where we see these patients traveling to, bringing it back into the country, and then potentially the concern is that eventually they will result in an exposure through the mosquito population to a regional person here.
Well, the timing couldn't be worse to have the Olympics right now in Brazil next month.
It is an issue.
One of the co-hosts of a morning program on the networks is pregnant, and she's not going to go with the network to cover it because she's afraid of being exposed to Zika as a pregnant woman.
Absolutely, and we know that the virus itself, primarily, we believe that the greatest risk is in the first trimester, but we're seeing second and third trimester still result in effects to the fetus, including microcephaly. So we don't know that there's a safe time to travel. We know that even the risks afterwards may persist in their partners afterwards for up to 6 months potentially. And how that translates to a risk to a woman and her unborn child, we still don't know yet.
Mark, what does this remind you of? You've been in this business now for over 35 years, you said.
Yeah.
What does this remind you of?
Well, we've been seeing it more and more now. I mean, we had chikungunya only 2 years ago, which it followed the same path. I mean, basically came into an area where it was unknown. So the population is what we call naive. I mean, they have never been exposed to it before, so they can get it. And that means there'll be a massive explosion when that happens.
But we hear of Zika already much more than the other one you just mentioned.
Right, and the reason for that is that the problem with pregnant women and children, I mean the unborn child, I mean that has changed the game completely. Chikungunya was mostly a painful disease, but adults got it and you got over it. It didn't affect unborn children. Zika is actually milder in adults than chikungunya or dengue, but it's the issue with unborn children that makes this such a nightmare.
I actually heard half an hour ago before I came in the studio that there was a Zika-related death in Utah this past week. You want to Google that, another travel-related situation. How about you, Matt? What does this remind you of? Perhaps encephalitis years ago?
Oh, yeah. My career's a little younger than my counterpart here. I really got into this business right when West Nile was hitting, so I went through all of that. But also, since I've been here in Florida, we've had introductions of chikungunya. There have been localized outbreaks of dengue in the Keys and in Miami. So I've always kept up with those things.
And unfortunately, Florida does not have a seasonal issue. This is a year-round issue, Doctor.
It is. The mosquito lives here year-round primarily, and so we're going to continue to have to deal with this going on in the future. So we'll just see where it goes.
Are we at the point now that you are recommending we don't travel to certain spots?
Sure. If you are pregnant or if you are looking to become pregnant in the near future, we do restrict the travel in those areas. And if you do go, make sure that you do the preventative measures while you're there, wearing long sleeve clothing and using DEET-containing insecticides, repellents, because they are safe to use in pregnancy.
Mark, what are the symptoms if somebody thinks they have this?
Well, I'm not a medical doctor, so it's not my specialty, but typically it's a low-grade fever. Then you'll get a rash, which can cover the whole of your body. In fact, I was down in Puerto Rico working with the CDC, and one of the members of the team down there contracted Zika, and he had a rash over his whole body from feet to his neck. He was, and he said that was the worst thing, that it was very itchy, very irritant.
Right, and this I did some research. This began in Uganda, 1947. That's right. But somehow it's gone from a snowflake to a real snowball here. Do you have any idea what caused it to explode?
Globalization.
It is exactly right. It's the ease of people traveling from one country to the other and bringing a virus that is localized into an area where the naive population allows it to explode very quickly.
That's the downside of globalization.
It is.
Many upsides, and there's the downside right there.
Correct.
Is there talk someday of a shot or a pill against this?
They're working on vaccines right now to try and do that, but unfortunately right now we don't have any medications that are able to treat it like some of the others. It's really just symptomatic treatment. And then surveillance in pregnancy for women who may have a risk factor. watching for fetal growth, making sure that the head develops normally, and then evaluation afterwards with either serum testing or diagnostic confirmation testing.
Now, let's check your crystal ball. Do you think years from now this is going to remain part of our everyday life, or this might ideally fade away? Or is the toothpaste out of the tube and it's not going to go away?
It's not going to go away. I think we'll continue to see occasional outbreaks as time goes on, but we have excellent control measures here in the United States that allow us to control these kinds of diseases much more readily than some of the third world countries. So I think it'll be a nuisance that occurs, but as long as we're aware of it and we have gentlemen like you guys on top of it, we'll be able to control it very well.
Okay. And I think another thing is that when you get these explosive epidemics in the Caribbean and South America, once the majority of the population has had the disease and they're now immune, it'll die down, so our risk of having imported cases will be much lower. And this happened with chikungunya. We had an explosion 2 years ago. We don't hear much about it now. We don't see so many cases.
I hope it goes the same way with Zika. And guys, we're out of time, so thank you, Mark, Matt, Dr. Garner. Thanks for being here on this Friday evening.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Up next, some of your comments on last night's program. Stay with us.
Attention, this is an important message for anyone who had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to their heart or lungs. Did your IVC filter move, break, or cause organ damage? The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, even death. If you or a loved one suffered serious complications, call IVC Filter Helpline now. You may be entitled to compensation. IVC filters are designed to prevent blood clots. If your IVC filter moved or broke and you suffered heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, or if a loved one died as a result, call IVC Filter Helpline today. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you. You'll pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call today for a free confidential consultation. Don't fight this alone. Call IVC Filter Helpline now.
Please call 800-897-6764. That is 800-897-6764.
Is your old garage door stuck or broken? Would a new one give you a lift? Let Precision Door Overhead Garage Door Service of Sarasota come to the rescue with prompt and affordable repair service. Replacement doors come with an array of styles and colors, and they are rated to meet and exceed Florida standards. From estimates to installation, your satisfaction is our priority. If you're not 100% satisfied with any product, service, or installation, we will make it right, because Precision Door Service is a name you can trust.
Well, last night we debated guns in Florida. Democrats fell short in their goal of a special session. They wanted to ban gun sales to those on terrorist watch lists, but opponents called the session a waste of tax dollars. Here's what you had to say. Roger Dresden writes, there's already a restriction to those on a terrorist watch list. Of course, it's a political ploy. Kate O'Hara writes, the people have spoken. Data shows that citizens are overall in favor of common sense gun laws. Legislators that refuse to even have a rational discussion about this aren't listening to the people, and they simply aren't doing their jobs. Tell us your thoughts on guns, the Zika virus, or whatever else at facebook.com/news7. I'm Ray Collins. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tonight at 11.
Just because someone grows older, does that mean they have to grow apart from their friends or from the things they love to do? With Right at Home, it doesn't. Right at Home's professional team thoughtfully selects caregivers to help with personal care, housekeeping, meals, and most of all, staying engaged in life.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Are you ready to go?
Oh, I sure am.
We can provide the right care right at home.
US Med has great news for anyone living with diabetes.
If you have Medicare, private insurance, or prescription drug coverage, US Med will ship a new glucose meter right to your home.
And shipping is free.
My new meter uses only a speck of blood, so it's less painful than my previous meter.
If you have Medicare, private insurance, or prescription drug coverage, you're covered with US Med. We're welcoming new patients, even if your current provider can't supply you anymore.
I don't even have to test on my fingers anymore. I can test on my hand or forearms, and it's more accurate than my old meter.
So call US Med today, and you'll have a choice of 2 great meters.
One that actually speaks your results, or a meter so small it fits on the bottle of strips.
Act now, and US Med will include a free prescription discount card. We'll also send you a free diabetes cookbook. This is your opportunity.
So call US Med today.
You'll be glad you did.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. Our promise means a new car you'll love. If not, return it for one you do. At Sarasota Ford, we promise live market pricing. We monitor national pricing on our entire inventory, so you get the best deal. In fact, we guarantee it. Bring us any competitor's ad, and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.